Yo, what is up everybody? Today Ghoul just had its public release and everybody who had CC access basically had their progression reset, including me. So today I'm going to be doing a step-by-step guide and basically just giving my thought process and progression like while I'm progressing, and I'll also be giving tips and tricks on fighting. If you want a more like explanation type video of how to progress, I also made another video and I'll link that in the description. I'm also going to be giving tips and tricks on fighting and basically my whole thought process whenever I'm 1v1ing somebody, and if you're interested in that, skip to this timestamp. And besides that, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that most people are probably going to be thinking about is getting their Kagune. But before that, the first thing that I could immediately do to help myself was pressing P and looking for the nearest event and getting it done. Now after I do that, I look for some NPCs to grip so I could get my Kagune, which you should already know this by now, but you get 5,000 RC cells and you'll unlock your Kagune at the start of the game. You go ahead and just ignore me in the background of the clip. I know I call it ass, but Nishio is actually a pretty decent Kagune for 1v1, especially for starters. It's nothing too crazy. But later on in this video, you do see I roll off to Takizawa and Beaked. This is another like obvious thing that I really feel like shouldn't have to be said, but it actually is something that has to be said because a lot of people for some reason do not move how I move. Always have your hunger up and make sure you're going to Helter Skelter and eating as much food as you can, because you're gonna look like a fucking idiot when you get in a fight and you have no hunger and you start screaming and you're getting mad because you died. Okay, so I have my Kagune. Now next I'm gonna level, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, click a quest. Now it should be indicated by a marker. And in the corner of my eye, I spot this little freshie here, so immediately I'm just going to go in for the kill and get the EXP. One thing that you should know about chasing is that whenever you hold your crosshair on top of the person that you're chasing, they'll actually be slowed down. And as you see here, I use the aerial crit to catch up once I'm close enough. And I only have one move, but use it to my advantage. Also, never forget that you have a critical. That's going to be your right-hand man. Now, in this clip, I'm fighting a user with Fist, and I don't have a lot of things in my arsenal. All I have is a Z and a critical. So I just like to try to stay as still as possible and just stay close, because the Fist have the quickest parry timing in the game. So I don't like to mess up the timing, just stand still. It'll be a lot harder if you start moving around, the timing changes. And I get the kill pretty easily and move on. It's also really easy to not notice when you rank up, so make sure you're always pressing M and go to your skill tree to check, because in this clip I literally forgot. For like 20 minutes straight I'm playing the game and I didn't even realize I ranked up. Okay, this should be obvious, but make sure that you get close so your character's not freezing every 15 seconds and you get put in a stun lock. Now you might feel like you're in a loop, so make sure you just focus on killing players and killing NPCs and gripping them, and make sure you're doing quests as well. And basically just do this until you get A rated, and once you're A rated, you're going to want to do permanent deaths. Now if you're having trouble progressing, I recommend just getting some of your friends on the game, or if you don't have any friends, which I hope you have friends, but if you don't, go into the Ghoul Discord server and look to where they have other server invites, and there should be other factions like Anteku, CCG, Algiri, and you could find other people to play with actually. Now eventually you're going to hit A rated and you're going to want to progress, but you can't because you need to get permadeath, and EXP is going to start coming slower. Your grips are not going to give as much EXP, your quest is not going to give as much EXP. So just focus on getting grips and doing permanent death events with your friends, which is basically what I did once I hit A, and I got all the way up to max doing this. Now usually whenever I'm doing permanent death, whether I'm with friends or I'm solo, I usually have one of two goals. That first one being permanent death events for goal points and also my event progression in EXP. And the second goal I'd usually have in mind is gripping other players, preferably ghouls, so I could build my RC count, which if you don't know, whenever you kill somebody during permanent death, you steal all of their RC count. Now when I'm with a group of friends, I usually just do both, and this works out pretty well, and you can usually come out of some permanent deaths with like multiple levels. Like I'm talking, you'll rank up like 3 times just off of grips. I think like the quickest time that I ever actually got all the way up to S+ just off of permanent death was probably like 45 minutes, like honestly really quick. And I know this should not have to be said, but again, it does have to be said because some of you guys are kind of, numb in the head. But the reason you want to gain your RC count and make it higher is because it gives you benefits to your hunger bar, which basically gives you more HP. And I'm gonna just explain it in small. More RC equals more HP. And if you want a more in-depth guide, I explained it, and you can go look in the link in the description. Basically, just spam this until you get max rank. And once you're max rank, then you're gonna start RC hunting. So you're probably just gonna start killing basically everybody you see in PD. I think that the max RC benefit is 3 million. I mean, I'm pretty sure it did get raised to 7 million, but they might have raised it back down. That's just what somebody said, so I have no clue right now. It's honestly either 3 million or 7 million. Now let's get into the fighting part of the video. Okay, so first I'm just gonna go over some basic tech, some basic things that basically everybody should know. Alright, so in this clip, I initiate the fight by going for a gut punch, which can serve for a running attack. It actually boosts you forward, so it's really good to start with. And I tried to follow it up with another move, but I missed, and he dashed back. And pay attention right here, whenever he dashed back, I immediately took notice to that distance, and I used my critical to close the distance and attack him because I knew that it would hit. And most criticals in this game actually boost forward like that one, so you should have no problem doing what I just did. Okay, so after that, I tried to follow it up with my Z move, which partially landed, but he parried, and once he parried, I actually predicted that he would dash back because of the last sequence, so I prematurely used my C move, knowing that it would launch me forward, and it hit him. And in here, I just happened to kill him with my other ability. So just basically knowing when to use what moves and how to follow up with certain combos and closing distance. I mean, I try my best to stay in their face when I fight. Like in this clip right here, I'm using my C move to get close and just using all my moves to basically stay in his face, and also M1ing a lot. One of the main things that I use when I'm actually 1v1ing are my M1s. It's really OP. Alright, so in this clip, I'm 1v1ing my friend who's a Mayu player. And against certain Kagunes, you're going to be really passive when you fight them. He has a trap Kagune, so I'm just going to try my hardest to be passive and not get caught in any of these traps. Alright, so right here, I use my gut punch to close the distance and get closer. And if you pay attention, I M1 once, and then on my second M1, I feint. Now, the way you feint your M1s is just by pressing right click or M2 after your M1. And this is going to be one of the most important things in 1v1ing, and this is basically how you land your moves during parry trades when you're not able to land anything because your opponent just keeps parrying everything. Now, here's something else to keep a note on. Whenever he tries to attack me right here, I parry, but I fucked up the timing, so I just dodge instead, and I can get out the way. Now, you can actually do this. You could just parry and then cancel it and dodge out the way. You won't get hit. This actually opens up a lot of room for mistakes. Now, after I stun him with my C-lock, I close the distance with a gut punch, and then I use soaring blow, which sends him flying in the air. And this is harder to land, but when it does land, you can immediately follow up with leg sweep, which will ragdoll your opponent, and they'll basically be opened up to any move. So I just followed up with my Z move. And I didn't mention this before, but this will be for strength. I do not have a dexterity build. I never once played it, but I'm going to be making a dexterity build, and I will make a video for dex fighting combat. Okay, so here my opponent uses his critical, and I dodge out of his critical, and then I use my critical. And whenever I use that to close the distance, he does exactly what I did. He does a roll cancel, which basically he rolled and then feinted, which allowed him to stay in the same place after he rolled. Now right here, this is just proof of me using gut punch as a follow-up for a combo and to actually create a combo after landing the move, which I use my X move after I landed here. And right here in this clip, this is just me just showing off another combo. Okay, one thing that I kind of forgot to talk about is an aerial attack, which basically you just run forward and then you jump, and as you're in the air you click and you should do like a little dashing attack. It's really good for PvP and also catching people. Okay, so in this clip right here, I'm using Eto, and with this Z move, you can actually like look away whenever they parry and then look back at them, and it'll cancel their parry, and they have to parry a second time. And here I'm playing like another really in-your-face type of Queen K. So what I try to do is try to get in their face, and then once I'm there, just stay put, if you kind of get what I'm saying. And you'll see what I'm talking about in this clip if you just watch here. So here I'm just parrying his moves and kind of like getting in his face and then just staying there. So here I'm close up, and then I wait for him to do his move, and I parry right there. Okay, so right here I parry all of his moves, and then I M1 once, and then my second M1 I feint. And this can actually sometimes work better if you M1 twice and then feint on the third M1. It just depends who you're fighting. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the timing for parrying in this game. So if you play Deep Woken or Type Soul, you probably know how to parry, and this game is like neither of those. So with the parrying in this game, it basically, as soon as you see the windup of the animation, you're going to want to parry. And now the heavier that the weapon gets, slower the windup time will be. But it's almost basically as soon as you see the windup of the animation. So here's the parry animation slowed. Alright, so here I have him in a like combo cutscene type of move, and with any of these cutscene moves, as soon as they get out of the cutscene, you can hit them with basically anything that you want. Like they'll be stunned for a second, so that's just me showing proof of it true. And then also, if you have a longer crit animation at the end of it, if the person dodges and you're still in the middle of the animation, you could just aim towards them and they'll hit them. Alright, so right here I'm getting pressed and he's doing a lot of moves on me, and most people would just freak out and start spamming F, but I just try to stay calm and just wait for my moment to parry. Just get hit, and then after getting hit, just try to parry. And then also right here you can see me using my crit and my gut punch to try to keep distance but also close it at the same time. Now, a tiny tech that most people use is right when they parry, they dash away so they can see what their opponent's about to attack with next, or they can use a move that dashes them forward to actually land it, and I use it twice here. Okay, so in this clip, I'm gonna be showing you how to fight an NPC. Basically, just stand still and M1 and parry trade, and just spam M1. Don't let the dodging or the parrying confuse you. Just M1, 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 and I think that's honestly the last thing that I'm gonna talk about as I close out this video. I know I didn't talk about a whole lot, and I definitely have more I could talk about. So if you want to see another in-depth guide just about fighting only, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely do that. But for now, I'm gonna just wrap things up and I'll see you on the next video.